Hello and welcome to Drop the Hammer. This is the first episode of a podcast dedicated to Age of Sigmar, the Warhammer tabletop skirmish game. My name is Dr. Christopher Moore, and joining me is
Lucy Moore.
We are Age of Sigmar players, and I am a lecturer in media and communication. And this podcast came out of the idea of teaching my students how to create content that they are passionate about and have an interest in, and how to create content for a specific media niche. And so my media niche is Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So rather than just teach students the idea of creating media, I thought
We should do it.
we should create our own media because we love playing Warhammer, and over the last 2 years now, we have become organized tournament Warhammer Age of Sigmar players. And so I wanted to create a podcast dedicated to talking about the organized event side, often known as the competitive side of Age of Sigmar. Although I really dislike the term competitive, because if you're putting little plastic soldiers, down on a tabletop and you're rolling dice and you're trying to win the game, you're playing competitively.
But you dislike that term.
Yeah, as opposed to kind of casual. When anyone that plays Warhammer Age of Sigmar or any Warhammer game is not casual. This is a hobby that takes time, investment, money, practice. It's not for casual people. If you want to play casually, you could play like Warcry or Underworlds.
Yeah.
And there are lots of different dimensions to the hobby. The painting side of the hobby, the learning how to play the game, the media.
Modelling.
I really hate modelling. But I really like painting. So we thought we would create a podcast and talk about our passions. We did come up with a name earlier.
Love and War Games.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was about 2 years ago now.
It was about 2 years ago. And we even had a logo created, printed off some gaming tools and accessories.
Yep.
And then when we came around to create the content, someone else had created content and
under that name.
And so this is a pretty good thing for my students to learn as well.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to pivot. And so we were racking our brains as to what is a cool idea for a name for a podcast. And I kind of liked War and Pieces, but that was taken. And then I saw a TikTok, and it was from the Tom Cruise movie, Days of Thunder. Where he's in he's racing, I think it's called NASCAR, and he's racing, and he says, "I'm going to drop the hammer."
Oh, yeah.
And his coach says, "Don't drop the hammer." I couldn't stop watching this clip, and so this is where Drop the Hammer. And so we're going to talk about, in each episode, we're going to talk about one thing that we kind of want to drop the hammer on in the hobby. And
what do you mean by drop the hammer in that sense?
There's a couple of different things, kind of like making a decision, like the judge in a court case drops the hammer, correcting a wrong, but also going all out, like in the Days of Thunder. It's like just throwing everything at it, and we're just going all out. So we'll get to that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how we got into the hobby and what we love about the hobby. Mm-hmm. So, do you remember the first competitive tournament organized event that we went to?
Yeah, I think it was it Dice Arcade before we did the 1,000 point local one?
Yes. We decided that we would go to the Sydney GT. So we're in a small, or not small really, it's a large coastal city just 1 hour south of Sydney in New South Wales, Australia. and
Called Wollongong.
and the big event on the local calendar really there's several, but the Sydney GT, organised by Anthony Magro, AOS coach, jumped out on the calendar early last year.
Well, it was in December 21 that you bought tickets.
Right.
And then that made us think, oh my goodness, we've bought tickets to a 2-day event, but we haven't even played any competitive events. So we better find out what this tournament play is.
Yeah, and we would definitely, AOS coach Anthony Magro was a huge inspiration for me, particularly getting into the competitive side. So we watched a lot of that content.
We did, yeah.
We also watched a lot of The Honest Wargamer.
Well, you did. I hadn't at that stage.
Not at that stage. And then we looked on Facebook and we saw a one-day event being held in Miranda, which is
45 minutes north.
Yeah, 45 minutes north. And so we started. We went to. Did we end up going to like 2 of those?
No, we went to one there. We also tried the Combat Company, which is in Mortdale, and that's about an hour away. And then we also tried another one that was a smaller. I can't remember what it was, and it's actually not there anymore.
Yeah,
so we tried 3 different places, hoping to find a place where we wanted to return to.
And we found a whole bunch of really friendly, easygoing, joyful people that love playing this game, and we keep going back. We go back to Dice Arcade, and we go back to the Combat Company, and we try to get to as many competitive organized tournament events as we can. But it's not easy. It's a huge investment of time.
Yeah.
Having the whole 2 days.
2 days is really hard. I feel like I need a day off the day after, so I can't necessarily take a day off work every time one comes up.
But we have the 2023 Sydney GT coming up in September. It's in the first weekend of September.
9th and 10th, second weekend.
Yeah, so we are currently preparing to play in that event. You've taken the Monday off after?
We'll find out.
Well, yeah, I think we both got to organise leave for the Monday after, because it's 5 games in 3 days.
2 days.
Sorry, I'm thinking 3 days because we're going to take it off. So the third day is recovery. But yeah, right.
So the first day is 3 games, and the second day is 2 games. And each game goes for 3 hours. So you're looking at 9 hours of play on the first day and 6 hours of play on the second day. So they're pretty intense days, and with an hour travel each way. We have tried in the past staying overnight closer, but we found only being an hour away, it's easier actually, and get more rest coming home to our own beds. Yeah.
Australia's pretty spread out, but there are competitive organised events in almost all of the major cities.
Yeah.
So we have been to our hometown Hobart and played there,
where we grew up. Yeah.
And we have been to CanCon, which is
Canberra.
In fact, I think CanCon before COVID must have been 2018. I think that's where we.
No, I think it was 2019.
Was that 2019 where we?
Oh, sorry.
Where we saw...
It was actually January 2020, just before COVID hit. And we went to CanCon that year.
Yes, but we didn't play in a tournament. We just wandered through and saw like 150, 180, 200 people
playing
in this enormous shed playing Age of Sigmar.
And that's when you went, I want to do this.
Yeah. We were walking along the tables and seeing all these incredibly painted armies and the magnificent terrain, and everything looked really organised, and people were just having such a blast. And I think that was the year that Robbie on Honest Wargame was streaming at Twitch, so that's how I found out about him.
Right.
And I remember I said to Lucy, I was like, yeah, I really want to do this.
I want to do this next time CanCon's on. And then CanCon wasn't on again for another 3 years.
I think I actually said we should do this.
You did.
I did.
And I'd been watching you play, fantasy Warhammer. We played a little bit of Mordheim together.
So 20 years ago.
Well before.
When I was doing my PhD, I was painting miniatures and playing Fantasy 6th and 7th edition, something like that.
And I'd watched you play that, and we played Blood Bowl together back then.
Yeah,
we played Mordheim together. So I had
you loved Mordheim.
Yeah, so I had played a little bit. I
Yeah.
knew a bit about it, but I mean, in terms of tabletop games, I had played a tabletop game, and we'd been playing X-Wing. So I had played some tabletop games, so I felt like it wasn't completely out of my depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a big jump from playing X-Wing where you've got 4 pre-painted miniatures.
Yeah.
We started with Warcry. We picked up the Warcry box.
Yeah. I thought it was Underworlds, but that came next.
Then we got Underworlds, and then we dove into 2nd edition, Age of Sigmar just before COVID. And so over the COVID lockdowns, I painted the Nighthawk and I painted the Stormcast.
And Oryx.
Yes. So we had
sort of 3 750-point armies.
Yeah. And then at the local Warhammer store, the manager there started a kind of a 7. It was a slow grow tournament. So it started with 500.
Yeah, it must have been.
Started with 500, then went to 750, and then went to 1,000 points.
Yeah.
And I really recommend if you can get into a slow grow tournament like that at your local game store, it is the best way to get into Age of Sigmar and playing regularly. It gives you a chance to build your army, paint your army.
Save up for your army.
and also get used to playing your army. I'm getting on these days, and so learning how to play an army actually takes me a long time.
Yes, it does take you a long time.
It does, doesn't
Longer
it?
than me.
Yes, yes. At the moment, what are you playing?
I'm playing the ogres. At the moment, I've got an under guts army, which are a big shooting cannon army.
You've got the 4 magnificent cannons on the table.
Yes, which you did a lovely job painting for me.
So that's something we should say is the division of labour. Lucy builds the models, most of them, and then I paint them. But you've painted some.
I painted a 20 man unit of Noblars.
And that Noblars is the toughest, most bastardly unit of what did I call them? Grognards I've ever encountered. There's always one left.
Yeah, painting's not something I feel confident with or want to get better at.
Yeah. But it is
which is why some people, I guess, will pay to get their armies painted or will buy an army fully painted.
Yeah. We play in the one-day events where we play. There's a whole range of different skills and people with different amount of time and different amount of money, and people are welcome to put models on the table that aren't painted.
Yeah, at the local one-day tournament.
At the one-day events. I think Dice Arcade is a minimum that they be primed. I think that's the minimum at Dice Arcade, but Combat Company, no one minds. Some people just buy armies, off eBay and online and have them commission painted.
Whereas once you go to a 2-day tournament, which is a 5-game 2-day tournament, there are definitely painting rules, and you have to meet the painting requirements. And there's a risk of the TO, the tournament organizer, removing the units that aren't painted to standard if you don't do that. So there's a bit of pressure.
So the pathway then is slow grow tournaments. So casual games at Warhammer at your local game store, then slow grow tournaments up to 1,000 points, and then one-day events where it's pretty casual. It's casual. It's relaxed. The day is still organised. There's still 3 games of usually 2 and 3/4 hour. 2
hours 45 minutes.
2 hours 45 minutes.
And you are expected to know how to play. It's not a place you go to be taught, I don't think.
I think that's fair.
I think you need to know the basics. Like, you need to know the phases. You need to know some basic terminology, and you need to know about your army. And you also need to have the General's Handbook.
Yes.
Or at least have access to it so you can learn the battle plans and the rules and that sort of thing.
All of the War Scroll cards, and you probably already know this if you've consumed any AOS content, all the War Scroll cards and all the rules are on a website called Warhapedia. it is a Russian website, and it is a dubious copyright infringement. I'm passionate about the hobby, so I buy all the books. When we go to events, we both purchase the General's Handbook, because it's basically your ticket to organized, or what's called match play. And it has all the battle plans. And the 2023 General's Handbook, although it is magic heavy, I am really enjoying all of the battle plans. And having that book, it's a spiral bound book, so it's super. You flip it to what you need, and then it has all the rules right there, and you don't have to worry about having a phone or getting access to the web. Yeah. It's a really good point. It is an excellent resource that I do highly recommend.
And because it only lasts, the last one lasted 6 months, this one's going to last 12 months.
Yeah.
But it is an ongoing expense as well. Like, it's not something you just buy once and you've got the General Handbook. It does change from, what is that called? Point to part. Like, it's not a 3 point. This is 3.2 or whatever.
3.3, whatever. Yeah. We are in version 3.3 or something. The hobby is expensive. It is really expensive in Australia, where there's something like a 40 to 50% markup on the retail price. And so this is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of love and investment in to play. Now, we are not good at the game. This is something we should really point out. We are not the people to be listening to about tactics and strategy and how to win at the game. That's not why
sometimes we can talk the talk. We just can't walk the walk.
It's important to us. We're on a pathway to try and get better and do better. But we lead busy lives, and we play when we can, and we go to competitive events when we can, organised events when we can. But you will often find us down the bottom tables at an event. And
you've been mid-tables and sometimes top. I've been at the bottom tables. There's been a lot of wooden spoons in my hand.
But there's also been a lot of, what's the award? At Dice Arcade?
Well, they call it Dice Arcade the Ratitude, or Best Attitudes, Best Sportsman.
Because we are really just there to have fun. We're there to put models on the table, have a great time with our opponent, have a really good experience, chat about the thing that we love.
Play hard.
In the break. Play hard. Yeah. We both play hard.
Yeah.
Like we
don't give up.
We never give up. Never surrender.
Always die. No.
But we're there for the love of the game, really.
What do you love most about the one-day tournaments we go to regularly?
I love playing against armies that I haven't played before.
Mm-hmm. We do get stuck playing against each other's armies a lot, don't we? So it's sometimes you think, oh, this is not a good army because you're playing against me, which is a bad matchup. But you go and play against other people and other armies, and you go, oh, actually, I quite like this list. It does different things against different armies.
I like playing against new people, but I also like playing against the people that we play regularly at the events, because sometimes they bring new armies or new lists, and it's like, oh, you beat me last time, I really want to beat you this time, and I'm going to do my best to get all my battle tactics and get my grand strategy and give you the best game that you're going to have that day.
I think that's what I've liked the best about it, is just that sense of community. Like, we've been going now to Dice Arcade every month for a year and a half, 2 years probably. Nearly. So,
and quite a few games at Combat Company in between that.
So I feel like we know, the 18, 20, 25 players that are regulars, and it's really nice to catch up with them, and to have that sense of community that you get from those regular catch-ups. And it's something completely different outside of work and outside of family and friends and things. So, yeah, it's really nice.
All right. To wrap up this first episode, then we have talked about what we might drop the hammer on for the first episode, and you.
So is this where I get to rant?
Yes. You pick the first topic. So
okay. So what
are you gonna drop the hammer on?
Okay, I drop the hammer on negative attitudes. Like, there's nothing worse than turning up to a table for a game and the opponent says things like, oh, this is a really shit army, I don't really know how to play it, and it was really good 5 years ago and it's no good now, and I don't know why I bought it, or I don't know how to play, and that makes a frustrating game. And then I lose all my sort of...
mojo.
But also my, like, cognitive skills.
Yeah.
And I don't play properly. Or... What do we call them? Man babies. And, you know, I have to mother them into, like, a good mood, and that's pretty I mean, yeah.
But it also goes for ourselves, and that is rocking up to the table with a positive attitude, even if you've just lost the last 4 games.
Yeah.
And always trying to create a situation where you're having a to and fro interaction with someone else in a positive way, respecting their time, not just at the table, but all the time they've spent investing in painting their army and learning how to play.
That's right.
And all the games that they've been in. And it's about having respect for yourself and for your opponent. And so that's what we're dropping the hammer on.
Yeah. I haven't noticed it so much in the one-day tournaments. It's never really been a problem. It's the 2-day tournaments where the second day, if you're on the bottom tables on the second day, then you've lost 3 games. And so, yeah, that's pretty... A lot of people feel cheated, and they're going into game 4 on the first game of the second day a bit tilted and a bit jilted and not happy.
Defeated. Before they even start rolling dice.
Yeah. And then, of course, that means that they end up winning. Yeah. So,
I think the plan for a 2-day event is just to have fun. It really is. To get all your battle tactics, to get your grand strategies as much as you can, to focus, as they say, to stand on circles, and just to enjoy that pure joy of rolling a bunch of dice and chatting to someone.
But also like you know, playing out, dramatizing what's going on the table in front of you. You know, that's pretty fun.
Absolutely. When that ridiculous little 120 point hero pulls off that one wound that you really needed to take out that monster, or running up and just getting that toe with that unit onto that objective at the right moment, at the right time. There's nothing that quite feels that satisfying as that kind of experience.
Or making him my unstoppable charges and jumping over units and landing where I wanted to. So yeah.
Oh, man, I'm so sick of getting beaten by ogres. All right. Thank you for watching.
You didn't drop the hammer on yours.
Well, I thought we'd just do one each time.
Okay.
I'll keep mine for the next episode.
Okay.
And I'll leave you in suspense as to what that might be. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.